How to pray the rosary well. In this video, I want to give you 5 tips to help you say your rosary. Stay tuned. Hello, my name is Antonio and welcome to the American Needs Fatima YouTube channel. Today I want to give you some tips to help you to properly say your rosary. So let's dive right into it. Tip 1, it's morning. It is extremely helpful if you commit to say your rosary in the first part of the day, especially in the early morning if you can. There are several reasons for this. Some of them are quite, let's say, obvious. We are more rested. Our minds are clearer. We have not been hit by all the difficulties and problems of the day, which of course will turn into distractions and so on. But another very important reason is that saying the rosary in the beginning of the day, it will help set the tone, the spiritual tone for your day. It really helps. It helps you, put all your day in the proper order. Many times we tend to get our priorities wrong if we don't do a little bit of spiritual reading or meditation in the morning. The rosary also has this effect. So if you can commit to say your rosary in the morning, you have a much better chance of saying your rosary properly, meditating on the mysteries and so on. What happens is, if you end up leaving it for the afternoon or nightfall, what's going to happen, and this has been my experience for many years until I decided to say my rosary in the morning, is that you will not have the energy at the end of the day, to focus on the mysteries. So take it from me, I have, been there, made those mistakes. It doesn't work. All right, it's very, very difficult. Tip number 2 is, it's what I would call ambience, our surroundings. We humans are very affected by our surroundings. And so to say the rosary properly, we need to pick a room that's quiet. We need to protect ourselves from outside noise. We need to leave our phone, this little thing here, leave it outside the room, because that's going to ring. It's a source of, let's say, of distraction. Okay. I'm sure you have had the experience of finding yourself inside of a church during a time, not during mass or anything, but sometimes you walk into a church in the middle of the day. There's nobody there. Everything is very quiet. The lights, are coming through the stained glass. It's like the perfect ambience to pray. And once you have that experience, what you will realize is that all of a sudden it's become like 10 times easier to pray and to focus on the mysteries. Why? Because you are in a ambience, you are in a place that is much more conducive to prayer, silence, and everything else. So if you have a church, that would be good, great. But most of us, live too far from a church. So, pick a room that is quiet. Or sometimes, if you live in a quiet neighborhood and you have too much noise at home, maybe, go, walk around the block or something. Now, of course, we do understand that there are many, especially mothers, who have children, and this is a big challenge. But don't worry, make an effort. God will, if there's someone that understands your, position as a mother, having to take care of many children, God will fully understand that. But it's always good to try to make an effort to find the right place. Tip number 3, it's perhaps the most important one. I call it knowledge. Once you begin saying your rosary every day, what's going to happen is that you are going to get the impression that to meditate on the mysteries, it's a bit boring. Okay? Um, and the truth is, it is not boring. But what happens is you will need some knowledge. Because if you, for example, you begin the first joyful mystery, and you say, uh, the first joyful mystery, we contemplate the annunciation of the angel Gabriel to Our Lady. Okay, the angel came, etc., and asked Our Lady to become the Mother of God, and she said her fiat, and that's it, right? So after a while, that's going to get a little, repetitive. So what is very helpful is if you could start little by little to doing some spiritual reading on the mysteries. Because let me tell you my experience. When I was much younger, I had more time to read, and so I read a lot of different books. But my favorite was actually this set of books. This is The Mystical City of God by Maria of Agreda or Agreda. Okay, Maria of Agreda was a Conceptionist nun in Spain. I believe she lived in the 17th century, and she was tasked. She was given the mission by Our Lady to write the life of the Blessed Mother. Um, One of these days, I want to talk to you more about this. I actually had the privilege to visit her convent and to actually hold in my hands the original books that she wrote. It was a really amazing experience. Now, um, I don't want to scare you. I don't want to tell you, look, you have to read all these books here so you can meditate. It's not that. There are many other books, but this is my experience. Okay, when I was in my early 20s, I read this entire book. I actually read it in the original Spanish, which is a very thick book. The pages are very thin. In the English version, they broke it down into 4 volumes. Okay, but it is a beautiful work, and Maria of Agreda goes into a lot of details when she gets to the mysteries. Okay, she tells a whole story of our Blessed Mother and of course our Lord. But for our purpose here, and later on, I plan on doing episodes specifically about the mysteries. Each mystery is like a fantastic story. It's an amazing story, okay, full of details. And this will, if you could read a little bit more about the mysteries, this is going to help you a lot when it comes to meditating. So I know I'm running the risk of delaying, extending this video a little bit too much, but let me just give you a quick example. Think, for example, of the 5th joyful mystery. Okay, what is the title of that? The finding of the child Jesus in the temple. All right. Most people don't know much about that. So what happened? So Jesus and the Holy Family went up to Jerusalem, and on their way back, Jesus got lost. And then a few days later, Mary and Joseph found him in the temple. What else is there to think about, to meditate? Okay, well, if you are like me, and if you read these books here, you will know that this is actually one of the most fascinating, mysteries, full of, details, kind of mysteries, and so on. For example, the first question is, what was the Holy Family going to Jerusalem for? That's one question that's good to think about. And then, the big question here is, how did it happen that Jesus was able to slip away all right, from the very caring and loving attention of his mother and Saint Joseph. I mean, we're talking about the most perfect people on earth. Okay, Our Lady is the most perfect creature, not only at her time, but in entire history. She never disappointed God in anything. So how could it happen that Jesus got lost? In our days, someone would have called, the social services, right? Anyway, um, so that's a big question. Let's think about that. And I will tell you someday when we, one of these days I'm going to do this meditation with you, and I'm going to explain to you how that actually happened. Okay, how did Our Lady lose the child Jesus, between quotes? All right. Um, and then after that, we know, for example, that Jesus was lost for 3 days. Okay, so what actually happened was that Mary and Joseph, they split up in order to make their search for our Lord more efficient. Okay, they each went their separate ways, and between the two of them, they actually knocked on every single door in Jerusalem. Each time they knocked, Our Lady would explain to the owner, of the house, the features of her son, etc., etc. So there's a tremendous history there. 3 days, what they went through. There's a beautiful story, for example, at a certain point, Our Lady convinced herself that her son was not in Jerusalem. So she had the idea that, well, maybe he went to the desert to talk with St. John the Baptist. And there's a beautiful story what happened next. I'm not going to, spoil the story here, but amazing. Another question is, if this took 3 days, what was Jesus doing throughout this 3 days? At the end, he was in the temple, but what did he do in these 3 days? You would be amazed to find out. And then finally, what was Jesus actually teaching the teachers in the temple? So these older men in the temple, they were teachers. They were experts in scriptures. So how was a 12-year-old boy able to stand in the middle of all these learned people and preach to them? What did he say? Well, Maria of Agreda tells us everything. Okay, it's absolutely fascinating. So this is just an example that if you are able to study, more about the mysteries, it will make your daily meditation a lot easier. Okay, and so there's so many different aspects that you can think about. Okay, and by the way, one of the reasons why I like Maria of Agreda a lot, there's a very interesting connection of Maria of Agreda, the author of the Mystical City of God, with the United States. She was actually here through bilocation, teaching the Indians at the time. She made several appearances. It's a miraculous way. It's called bilocation. But she made several appearances here in New Mexico. Very interesting. One of these days I'll tell you all about it. All right, moving on before we extend this video too much. The fourth tip are images. And this is why I really suggested in my previous videos, and I will insist, I will give you this link again, is for you to download this beautiful booklet here. Just click the link below, and you will be able to download the digital version. You may remember, if you saw my previous video, how you can, download. Let me see if I can find this here. This booklet onto your phone. All right. So see the same booklet on your phone, and here you have not only all the prayers and everything else, but to our purpose here, you will have beautiful illustrations. For example, here, let me show you quickly. Here you have, for example, the finding of the child Jesus in the temple. Let's try to make sure we get this focused here. Okay, so so my fourth tip are images. Either this booklet, or, and by the way, you can also order this on the American Needs Fatima site. If you go to anf.org or americanneedsfatima.org, it's very easy to find where to order the actual physical booklet. All right, so images is very important. And finally, and of course, there are plenty of other images, from other painters that that you can collect, or to help you to focus. Having an image to look at when we are praying our rosary, okay, an image of the mystery is very helpful in blocking other distractions. And finally, the fifth tip is to say the rosary every day. First of all, it's a good practice, okay? We really need to do that, but it will help you get used to it. You will create the habit. And once you have that habit of saying that rosary every day, it becomes a lot easier, okay? And remember, if you have the proper disposition, the proper place, and everything, and all the things we have spoken here, we have said here, you can say a rosary well said in about 10 minutes. Okay, some people extend themselves a bit more, which is of course okay, but the fact is, you only need 10 minutes during the morning to say your rosary every day. I hope this was helpful, and before I let you go, allow me to remind you to, if you haven't subscribed yet to our channel, to subscribe to the channel, and also click on the little bell, because if you like this, I will continue doing episodes on the rosary. We are going to eventually get into meditating, helping you meditate on the mysteries. I have so many stories to tell you here, but to make sure you don't miss anything, click on that little bell so you get notified when these new episodes come up. Thank you so much for listening, and I wish you the best, and may God bless you, and may Jesus and Mary protect you and your loved ones.